Hey everybody, welcome back. Sean Rosenstiel here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Chapter 1, Introduction to Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Now in the last video, where we talked about the key points to the preface, I shared with you what I believe is the secret to the entire book. And as we move forward throughout this journey of the video series, we're really going to be using that secret as the lens or the filter to which we proceed. So if you haven't already, go back, check out the preface video. I want to make sure you're aware of what I believe the secret is, because it's really going to guide some of our learning as we move forward. Now, speaking of the preface video, my mother-in-law happened to watch that video last night, and she had some feedback for me, which I appreciated. She said, Sean, is there any way that you can, dress up a little nicer, maybe a suit and tie? And I appreciate that. I'm just more comfortable in thermals. She also said, hey, can you do something differently with your hair? Maybe get a haircut. We are right smack dab in the middle of COVID-19, of this coronavirus era. Great Clips is closed. So also she said that if there's any way that you can raise the camera a little bit, I feel like I'm staring up at your chin. It's not such a flattering angle. So I have elevated my camera a little bit, and I appreciate you kind of bearing with me as we move forward along through the video series. So thank you for that. All right, Chapter 1, Introduction. Some really good key points here. The first one is this idea of disguised opportunity. Now I'm on page 10, and Napoleon says, that is one of the tricks of opportunity. It is a sly habit of slipping in by the back door, and often it comes disguised in the form of misfortune or temporary defeat. And of course, he's talking about the story of Edwin C. Barnes. And Mr. Barnes didn't want to work for Thomas Edison. He wanted to work with him, right? He wanted to work side by side as Edison's partner. And it's an incredible story about vision, just holding a vision, determination, persistence. So if you haven't read that yet, be sure to check that out, because this is really what this point is referring to. But this idea of disguised opportunity, think back to some of the major moves you've made in the past, or major pivotal moments, or maybe some of the adversities that you've experienced along the way. Oftentimes in those moments, there are disguised opportunities. And sometimes these opportunities don't necessarily show up exactly how we want them to or when we want them to, but oftentimes these opportunities are just disguised in a certain way. And if we're not paying attention, we may miss them. So I think it's really important to bring some awareness to this point so that we have an awareness moving forward that, hey, whether we're looking at something exciting or dealing with a struggle or an adversity of some sort, like the coronavirus right now, right? How do we focus on some of the ways that we can get learning or get growth or advance to a next level, whatever that level may look like? Because oftentimes opportunities are disguised. And if we're not on the lookout for them, we may miss them, right? So very important point here. Key point number 2 is gold mine. I love this. I'm on page 11 now. He says, more gold has been mined from the brains of men than has ever been taken from the earth. And in the preface, one of the key points there was ideas. If you remember, he says that all achievement, all earned riches had their beginnings in an idea. So I think a lot of times, we're looking for things outside of ourselves, right? If we want more wealth or better health or a better relationship, we look for things outside of ourselves. Maybe we want that next promotion, or we want to buy that fancy car or buy the new home or whatever it is. Well, what Napoleon Hill is suggesting here is that the gold mine is located right in between our ears. I often say that the most powerful app in the world is located right between our ears. We just have to upgrade it and activate it, right? So a very important point as you go through this book, maybe you already have an idea in mind and you're looking to apply these 13 principles towards that idea. Or maybe you're on the lookout for an idea. Maybe you don't have an idea, but you're reading the book anyway and you're hoping to get one along the way. Remember that your brain can be a gold mine, and more gold has been mined from it than the earth alone, right? So a very neat, important point here. Ideas are so powerful, right? Point number 3, one step beyond. So I'm on page, 13 here. Napoleon says that More than 500 of the most successful men this country has ever known told the author, that's Napoleon, their greatest success came just one step beyond the point in which defeat had overtaken them. And he's referring to the story of Mr. Darby and how Mr. Darby stopped 3 feet short from gold. So we won't get into that story, really powerful story. Highly recommend you read that. But pretty interesting here. You know, how often have we stopped just short of success? So remember this, next time that you are experiencing defeat, or you feel like you've been knocked down, or you feel like you're stuck or struggling in some way on a goal or ambition or whatever it is, just remember Napoleon's point here. We have to go one step beyond. And it brings about this idea of temporary defeat. It's an idea that we'll talk about at length in a future chapter. But all of these people in Napoleon's study, they never really accepted defeat as permanent or final, did they? You know, they always recognize that defeat is just simply a step along the way, or can be viewed that way, and it's not final. There's something beyond it, one step beyond it. So it's important for us to remember that so that we don't stop 3 feet short from the gold like Mr. Darby did. And so again, 500 of the most successful men have said that their greatest success came just one step beyond defeat, which is incredible. It's a really important point there. Fourth and final point is magnets. I love this one. I'm on page 18 now. Napoleon says, our brains become magnetized with the dominating thoughts which we hold in our minds, and by means with which no man is familiar. These magnets attract to us the forces, the people, the circumstances of life, which harmonize with the nature of our dominating thoughts. So we've all heard the term, you know, what you focus on, you feel, right? I like to say what you focus on, you find. So what are your dominating thoughts? You know, if your dominating thoughts are negative in nature, you're probably finding that in your environment. If your dominating thoughts are positive in nature, you're probably finding that in your environment. So one of the thought-provoking questions included on the success guide within this chapter is, what are your dominating thoughts, and how have those thoughts transmuted themselves into their physical equivalent, right? Like, how have your thoughts actually shown up in your environment? If you haven't downloaded the success guide yet, please do so below. There's a link there for you. But this is a really neat thought, that our own thoughts, the ones that dominate our minds, incessantly act as magnets, and they attract whatever it is we're thinking about into our own environment. In the last video with the preface, we talked about the reticular activation system and that function within our brain. And this is neat. Where this may not have been known, there maybe wasn't a science behind it, or there wasn't a label on what this was called. That to me is what the magnet is. It's your reticular activation system, or RAS for short. And we're going to be talking about that quite a bit through this video series. So that's it. That's what I believe are the 4 key points to Napoleon's introduction. In the next video, we're going to be talking about Chapter 2, Desire, the first of 12 steps towards riches. We're going to be beginning our journey here. So if you found value in this video, feel free to like it and share it with anyone you know who might benefit. Also, be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of the notifications for the future videos I will be releasing for this series. So I look forward to seeing you and serving you on the next chapter on Desire. Take care.